Hello, can anybody hear me? If not, I will cut off your heads. Hello, Grim. Hi, everybody. This is Black Runner Ranger. On this day, 25 years ago, one of my all-time favorite Cartoon Network shows made its first debut on Cartoon Network, The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. It was originally paired with another show called Evil Con Carne, and together they form a compilation show called Grim and Evil. Later, around 2003, they separated, and Evil Con Carne was cancelled, but Grim Adventures managed to live on until 2007, or technically 2008. So then, with what was I? Now, for Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, like I said, it is one of my all-time favorite Cartoon Network shows. But on the surface, it probably shouldn't be, because it has a lot of things in it that can really turn off some people, and it has a lot of things that a lot of people probably hate nowadays. Grossout, dumb humor, random humor, mean-spirited humor, death humor, mean-spirited characters, dumb characters, characters doing something stupid just for the sake of something stupid, etc. Yet, for some reason, they managed to tie these pieces really well, and they really learned how to execute it greatly. And even with the recurring characters who would get added in later on, especially in the later seasons, they have something memorable. They provide some memorable moments, and they also become some of our favorites. And like I said, for me, this is my second most favorite show of all time on Cartoon Network. First would be Eddy, and if you're wondering, third would be Camp Laszlo. Now, to help celebrate this day, all you gotta do is ask me to draw any character from this particular list of Billy and Mandy characters. Now, the ones I got here are the ones that you get to play in the Billy and Mandy video game. Yeah, did you know there was a Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy video game that's a bit like Super Smash Brothers, except it's not 2D, it's a little bit 3D-ish. And right on this list is the characters you get to play as, which I've enlisted here. You can ask me to draw, including Billy, Mandy, Grim, Irwin, Harold, who is Billy's dad, though he appears as Mogar in the game, Gladys, who doesn't appear in the game, sadly, Eris, Nurgle, and Fred Burger, Horace, Delgado, Dracula, Jack-o'-lantern, Nurgle Jr., Boogeyman, Lord Payne, and General Reginald Peter Scar. I'll explain a bit more about them when we start drawing them. And I also included a few extras, like Gladys, who is Billy's mom, Jeff the Spider, who is Billy's son, Hector Con Carne and Buskov, and Major Dr. Ghastly. And later you can ask me to include a few more. So, which one do you want me to draw first? And one more thing, fellas, I do recommend that the characters you asked me to draw are easy for me to draw, and so I can get to them. So once they're done, I can get to your other requests as soon as possible. And if you like, you can super chat to me with any amount you want for me to do either an immediate request or an off-screen request. I recommend any complicated commissions for off-screen, as in I'll do them on another day, and any of the ones to draw now, simple and easy. So let's begin. Who do you want me to draw with Billy? Ask me. Who do you want me to draw with Billy? By the way, what do you think of this Billy impression? Cha-ching! I'm money, baby! Okay, so somebody asked me to not draw Billy, but instead they're asking me to draw Irwin. Oh, Wriggly Rat, yo! In fact, Billy and Mandy was such a big favorite of mine that I've been trying to do an impression on nearly every character, especially Billy, Mandy, Grim, and Irwin. Okay, maybe not the girls, but definitely the boys. So first we have Irwin. So, and he's so, oh yeah, the ghost duck. I remember him. He was that invisible duck, and people keep thinking somebody made rude gestures. I forgot to mention if you want the characters to do anything like play Hokey monsters, which is like Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! It was from the episode It's Hokemon, where Grim brings the cards to life. They start causing running amok until Mandy's monster comes in and turns all the monsters into toast. Wait, just a quick. Okay, so it's just I just needed to pick something up. That's all. Now here's a funny little fact about during production. Irwin, when the voice actress for Irwin, it was a woman, Vanessa Marshall, voiced Irwin. She had no idea that Irwin was African American, and in his first few appearances. But when she started to adjust to him more. That's when he started to add in the yo, like we can't live without you, yo. I don't know who would Irwin be voiced by in this day and age. I mean, the Black Lives Matter movement thing. I mean, Billy, they did try to revive Billy and Mandy. I mean, Maxwell Adams, the creator, is trying to revive Billy and Mandy, but the executives won't let him. In fact, one of them said it's a hateful Cartoon Network show. It's pretty sad. I'm just nowadays people will be when people look at Irwin, some of them may be like hey, is that Remy Remington or something? I'll admit, when I first saw Remy Remington from Big City Dreams, I was asking to myself, why does he look like Irwin? Okay, let me just remove this little bit here. Rumor has it that the only reason Irwin actually had a crush on another thing to note is that Irwin has an excessive crush on Mandy. Now, some say that this all started ever since the episode where Billy possessed Mandy's body, and ever since then I'm just trying to find a good picture of Irwin in. Yeah, it's something like that. I'm just trying to find a good picture of Irwin screaming, because he's kind of the butt monkey at times, either by by Mandy or by sometimes by Billy or and as we learn more about him, it turns out he is not really human. In fact, there are other In fact, he other things about there are other things about him that we don't know about. I'll explain a little bit later when we go to another character on this list. Another strange thing is that a majority, actually not that strange. Just looking at Erwin's shoes. Here we go, fellas. We have Gleiger slamming on Erwin. Let me just do the claws a lot better. Yeah, see, I'm just sorry. I'm just a bit excited to do the claws part. I mean, this. There we go. We have Gleiger slamming on Erwin. Please, oh, get off. And next up is. Now this is interesting. First, let me draw the goddess herself. Now we come to Eris, the goddess of chaos. Yes, she's and she holds the apple of discord. Grim at one point had a crush on her, but over time he seems to have gotten completely off her. I mean, in her first appearance, Grim was head over heels for her, but other times, but in her later appearances, no, not really. Another funny thing about Eris is that in her first appearance, she started off with the Valley Girl is type of attitude, like totally speaking like this all the time. But in her later incarnations, she speaks more with a British accent. And it's the same type of British accent that Rachel McFarlane would also use for other of her characters like Odalia from the Owl House. I at one point drew Odalia dressed up like Eris. And before the app and before the My Little Pony character, this was my Eris's Apple of Discord was my introduction to the word Discord. And she also has this part where something like that. I don't know why, but the Group Adventures of Billy and Mandy often draws female characters with these particular lines. And like, how the heck did I get away with those? But just in case of YouTube guidelines, I best not do that. In fact, there's a moment where Dr. Ghastly was belly dancing, and there was a moment where it's like, I don't know if it was real or not, but if it was, I'm like, how the heck did I get away with that? Okay, and almost finished. With Eris. And now I have to include the other character. It's So, how the heck does do they maintain the rights? Sorry, I'm just thinking to myself. How do they make sure each and every Hamtaro character has the right structure and stuff? And how do they keep repeating on that? Since without the colors or the accessories, the Hamtaro characters kind of look quite similar to one another. Let me just add in this just to make sure. I'm just curious, that's all. Okay, I think I'll just leave it from there from now on. I thought I was wondering what the heck am I thought there was something missing. Whoops. Let's see, I'll just do, nope. There you go, we have Eris with Hamtaro. Okay, who's next? Hmm. Have a nice... Death from Have a Nice... Meeting the Grim Reaper. Let me cross off the let me cross off the characters before I continue on. So Erwin, check. Eris, check. Next up is the Grim Reaper himself. Meeting yet another Grim Reaper. Let me just double check on what he looks like. We have this death out of the way. Let's go to the other death. Yeah, okay, next up we have the Grim Reaper. Now, of course, you know who the Grim Reaper is. He is the one who is a master of life and death. When Billy and Mandy met The reason why Billy and Mandy met him in the first place was because it was Billy's hamster's time. In fact, it was his 10th birthday, which according to Billy is a jillion in hamster years. So when the Grim Reaper finally came, it turns out apparently it was like curtains from Mr. Snuggles. But then Mandy said, nope, you cannot have Mr. Snuggles. But if you win, we'll let you have Mr. Snuggles. But if you lose, they'll keep Mr. Snuggles. And the Grim Reaper even adds in, if you win, I will be your best friend forever. And then, after Mandy somewhat cheated by mentioning something that made Mr. Snuggles attack the Grim Reaper, this makes Grim lose, and Billy and Mandy have won. Which means not only do they keep the hamster, but they are also Grim's best friend forever. It's like, we will keep now. Mr. Snuggles is ours. And you're our best friend forever! No, this is impossible. I am the Grim Reaper, master of forces of life and death. Not anymore. He's like, yeah, this is great that you're our best friend forever, and the best part is you get to see me build our houses. Pillow fight! And then Grim is like, I loathe you. Now, the funny thing about the Grim Reaper is that there was an episode where they made him human. Originally, they were supposed to make him based on his voice actor, Greg Eagles. But then one of the executives are like, the fact that this particular type of human being owned by Billy and Mandy, slavery implications, yeesh, best not. So they basically had to make him look like somebody else. So yeah, we have the Grim Reaper meeting death. Was it the other way around? I can't remember. So yeah, Grim is done. Who's next? Somebody else is asking me to draw Eris, but okay, so I'm getting double the Eris. That's interesting. So she's running in her place with her arms reaching forward. Okay, so this still counts as Mandy related. And one of the main protagonists of the show. But she's, unlike Billy, who is like a happy-go-lucky guy, Mandy is often full of hate and and is also very commanding and stuff like that. She rarely smiles, and later in the show we see why she rarely does that. Yeah. But there are a few times when she does smile, like in the first episode where she smiles, makes a sarcastic smile towards her audience, and she even just mentioned giving Grim a makeover in the swimsuit model episode, and there was even I'm trying to remember what other episodes where she smiled. She even stepped on Trying to think. Even in some commercials, you can see her smiling. There's one commercial where she's smiling in the elevator here when Chip and Skip accidentally made a noise, and thankfully for Mandy, she doesn't have a nose, so she's fine with it. I think I also remember her smiling a bit when playing with the other Cartoon Network characters at hide and seek, and Jimmy was the one who was seeking. Jimmy from Ed, Edd and Eddy. Billy, but then one particular episode, My Fair Mandy, we see the reason why she doesn't smile, because if she does, reality would fall apart. You fools! You've messed with the natural order! Trying to remember how now the funny thing is, you could argue that in her earlier seasons Mandy's a bit tough, but she was never really, and she can be a bit she can be a bit over the top. I'm trying to remember what I was saying. In her earlier seasons, she is a bit something at times, but she was never really that over commanding or that evil or anything or something. But in the later shows, she's become a bit more evil, so to speak. Some people prefer her earlier episodes rather than her later ones. I don't know. I kind of like. I don't know. I like Mandy either way. I'm trying to remember how. Yeah, even though Mandy doesn't is often grumpy, she does have a soft side. She does have a soft side for Billy. I mean, especially as we see that in Billy and Mandy's Big Booey Adventure, she secretly does care about Billy. And heck, there was a moment where Billy was like, he's blind for looking at the screen, for looking too close at the screen, and then when Billy walked when there's a red light, Mandy then makes a weird looking face, and I say it's pretty yeah, even though yes, Mandy can be cynical and tyrant and angry and stuff, but again, she does have a soft side for Billy, even though she doesn't really show it, or she refuses to show it. Now this is what the person who wanted me to draw Eris for is like. So anyways, that's Mandy and Eris again done. So Mandy, check. So who's the next one? Okay, we got. Okay, I'm missing another one. Frit Burger with Boo Man. Side note, have you seen my crossover video yet? No, I haven't. In fact, I myself have done a Frit Burger crossover video thing before. I mean, remember when Frit Burger has this thing where he spells his name? The first time he does it is in Keeper of the Reaper, his first appearance, where he's like explaining to the rest of the jury members how that he likes paperwork, especially the part when I get to write my name, F-R-E-D, F-R-E-D, B-U-R-G-E-R. Frit Burger. Yes. And then he spells it again in Be Afraid, Be Very Afraid, his second appearance. And he was like, I can spell my name real good. F-R-E-D, F-R-E-D, B-U-R-G-E-R. Frit Burger. Yes. I can't remember. And it was also in a commercial where he was a host on a bunch of Cartoon Network shorts called Cartoon Network Yes. In fact, where he does some random things. I remember watching a ton of them. There was one where he's like explaining his love for music, which was reused from the Keep of the Reaper episode. And another where he was like explaining all the things he likes, like, I like music, I like nachos, I like frozen yogurt, and I like pizza, but I like nachos the best. And I like the 4-out paperwork, and I can fit 2 fingers in my belly button. Yes! Hey, where are the nachos? Cartoon Network. Yes! And that's the slogan. Cartoon Network. Yes. And there was another one where the way I draw it seems less like how Maxwell Adams draws it and more like how C.H. Greenblatt draws it. By the way, here's another funny fact. Boo Boo and Yogi Bear did appear in Billy and Mandy. There was an episode where Billy encounters some dwarves, and in that episode, Billy was about to go on picnic, but the reason why the others didn't join him because the last time they were having a picnic, and Billy's like, please taste the egg salad. And then this weird Yeti creature comes out and goes, Fraggle, Fraggle, and kidnaps Billy. Somebody help me! The others ignored, and it was later revealed it was Harold, disguising himself as the Yeti creature. So then Billy, he goes by himself, like, I'm just going to the forest to get in the bed. Psst, hey little girl, come here for a second. That's a nice picnic basket you have there. Hey Yogi, we got the food yet? Sorry, I gotta run. Yeah, that's okay. There, let me just give me that basket. Don't let it get away. You can't get me, bears. I'm in a cave. Hey, he's right, Boo Boo. We bears are terribly afraid of caves. Why are we so lame, Yogi? The way Yogi is portrayed in that episode, I didn't realize he was an addict. The way he's portrayed like an addict, and I'm like, I thought this was something John Kricfalusi did with his Yogi Bear episode short. Yeah, remember the Ren and Stimpy guy? He made a Yogi Bear short, and it's a bit disturbing despite a PG rating or TVY rating. It's even more disturbing when you know that one of Yogi's voice actors, Greg Burson, is a bit of an addict himself, which was what got him blacklisted from the industry in 2004, and then he passed away 4 years later of an overdosage and diabetes. Oof. Anyways, here's Boo Boo with Fred. Yes! Early perhaps for November 5th. Okay. I'll save that for later. Say Foamy the Squirrel. It's a collab. Oh, okay. This one's a collaboration. So this one I'll do later. This one off screen, alright. Alright, so okay, we got Billy done, Harold done. We got Mandy, Grimm, Erwin, Eris, and Fred done. Does anybody want me to do Billy? We speak nuts of John K. In fact, let's not call Ren and Stimpy. Let's not call Ren and Stimpy John K. show. Let's think of it more as Bob Camp. And funny enough, Bob Camp would also work on Billy and Mandy and Evil Con Carne. In fact, you could say that even though John K. created Ren and Stimpy, Bob Camp what kept the strings, what helped maintain the sustainability of Ren and Stimpy. So anyways, what do we have? Okay. Technically, somebody already did that, but I might as well do my own take on it. Now we come to Billy himself. The one of the big stars of Billy and Mandy. Oh, it's another shipping request. I'll do that one off screen, but the off screen is another off screen one, okay. I can't forget this particular part. It's kind of Billy's signature thing. Okay, Now some of you may wonder, why the heck is Billy friends with Mandy? Especially if sometimes Mandy can be a bit abusive towards Billy with all the demands and stuff. And even though Billy is a bit of an idiot, he can occasionally make some smart remarks. I mean, there was an episode called The Schlubs where Billy meets these Smurf parodies called The Schlubs, and he's like, when Grimm is about to cut their heads off and melt them down for gold, Billy's like, "You get to melt the Schlubs down to gold? They're a rich and patriarchal culture." Who is teaching you these words, Billy? Why, the Schlubs, of course. Yeah, I wonder. Now, from what I hear, Hazbin Hotel, Billy and Mandy was an inspiration for Bibsy Pop to help make Hazbin Hotel, and they even got Maxwell Adams to voice one of the minor characters. That was S. after her happy the Hell song, the pilot song that is. What's the it's something about the Amy Rose thing. Yes, I have said that I have made sure the Amy Rose thing is unrestricted, though I still prefer Breezy or Sally. But never mind. I mean, I still have confidence to draw her if that's what you want. But this one I really. And next up, we're going with Haas Delgado, the Spectre Exterminator, the one who has the very deep voice, yes, which Diedrich Bader Upton voices for other characters like Spitfire or Batman, or even more recently, the Two-Face. Yes. Even though he was in Under Fist, where he turned into his 40s, he still lives with his mommy. Kinda like me in a way. Yes, mommy. That's what he said to his mommy. Now you play nice, dear. Yes, mommy. No, he's not a Solid Snake, he's Haas Delgado, Spectre Exterminator. And then, apparently in the future, there's a character named Boss Del Guapo who looks almost exactly like Haas, except he has 2 eyes. Now, I'm not sure I can't remember what happened to his, I'm not sure what happened to his how his arm came to be, but we do have a backstory to how he lost his eye. And Jeff the Spider once asked him, did the monsters ever take your eye or something? No, my mother told me not to play with scissors. What the monsters did was much, much worse. When Boss Delgado won, when Haas Delgado captures the Grim Reaper, he was like, and Grim is like, "Oh, take me away from those brats." But I thought you were holding them hostage. Those fiends, I'm their hostage. And then the mouse turning in his brains just stopped. Yeah. And at one point he fell in love with Eris, but it wasn't. And then he was sent to a weird-looking dimension where everybody's a puppet all of a sudden, and he ends up in a garbage can that's labeled Cartoon Network. So there you have it, fellas. Delgado. I at one point did draw Haas as Batman. Like, this is not my first time drawing Haas, as I had him. Oh wait, is it the other way around, or is it Haas's Spitfire, or is it Spitfire's Haas? Was that the other way around? I forget. Was that the other way around? Let me check. Was it the other way around, or was it the? I forget. Okay, next up is you want to ask me to draw something related to Harold or Billy's dad? You want me to draw him as Mulgar? Would you like to have him fishing or something? In fact, this is where Billy inherited not only the looks, but also the stupidity. It was Billy's... Yeah, so let's see. Hostel Dotto is actually a combination of Solid Safe from Eddy and Ashley Williams from Evil Dead. Oh, that's a pretty neat combo. I had not noticed that all these years. Okay, I might as well do that one. Here. Yeah. Now, of course, like I said, Billy's dad is precisely the reason why Billy has the looks and the intelligence, which is not very high to begin with. If he let me just so I'm just looking up something. So I'm just looking at two different sources so I can properly dress up the character. I know the whole nincompoop dad thing has been done for quite a long time. I mean, there are plenty of nincompoop dads in fiction. There's Homer Simpson Homer from The Simpsons, Peter from Family Guy, Stan from American Dad, Goofy in several different Disney projects like Goof Troop and a Goofy movie. Timmy's dad from Fairly Odd Parents, Oscar from The Proud Family, of course Billy's dad or Harold, and Richard Watterson from The Amazing World of Gumball, and there's Tim, even some of the live action ones as well. It's quite a very common trope, and some people are kind of sick and tired of it. But to be fair, I'll be very honest. Billy and Mandy's Harold from Billy and Mandy. I kind of like. I don't know why, but I find his manner. I find him one of the more adorable ones. The ones I can withstand the most. It may be because of his performance by Richard Horvitz, considering that he also voiced Billy, or maybe his stupidity isn't really harming a lot of people. It's just or some other things. And another thing to note that in one particular episode of Billy and Mandy called Billy Idiot, which is a parody of Billy Elliot, he also was a bit of a dancer, and one of the most difficult dances he was about to perform was called the Babuhai Shuffle, or whatever it was called. But before he could do that performance, his father, who was Billy's grandpa, also voiced by Richard Horvitz, he says, "Dance is for girls!" And then that's when Harold decided, "I will never, ever dance again!" In fact, I don't know if it started from here, but it seemed that Richard Horvitz voicing father and son would later be carried on to some other projects like El Tigre, and of course it would also be with Crimson and Moxie from Has-Been Hotel. And funny enough, he also, like I said, he also voices the grandma, the grandpa Simon. And he voices the one of the characters' father, the son, the father, and the grandfather of L.T. Gray, and he also did Billy and Harold and Billy's grandpa. So maybe one day he'll have either Moxie's grandpa involved, or if spoiler alert, if Moxie and Millie do have that kid as teased in the Christmas episode, the Sinsmas episode, maybe Crimson will become the grandfather, and maybe the son or daughter, the son will be played by Richard Horvitz. Who knows? And just an idea, that's all. So yeah, and that should be, here's Harold dressing up as Harold. Billy's dad as Harold from Total Drama. Okay, so next up, so the next stop is, we're going to be, and actually, in a sense, Harold is also a grandfather, or even a great-grandfather, because Billy has a son. And he goes by the name of, wait just a minute, of Jeff the Spider. Yeah. Now, the only reason why Billy hatched the egg was because he thought it was a duck egg. Yeah, he was finding some stuff in Grimm's trunk, and when he came across this green egg, he tried to hatch it, and he accidentally sat on it, and then it creates it brings out a spider. And when Billy sees it, he freaks out. And he smiles at first, and then he immediately freaks out. And then he grows up to become Jeff. And he is voiced by the creator of the show, Maxwell Adams. Despite his monstrous appearance, he is a very, very nice spider. He will always be there for Billy, and he'll do everything he can to get his love, but Billy just keeps rejecting it. I'll be good, you filthy bug. Why won't you love me, Dad? I'll do anything with you. I want you to be dead. There was, of course, at one point where he was married to where he was about to marry the Spider Queen, Velma Green, whom Grimm used to meet in college, and it was a very confusing thing, because in the movie, in Wrath of the Spider Queen, it explains that's how Grimm came to be. That's how he became the Grim Reaper. He won by becoming the new Grim Reaper, even though Velma Green also wanted to audition, but again, it went to Grimm. But then there was an earlier episode where called The Grimm Prophecy, where we flash back to Grimm's childhood, and it's his parents that made him want to do the reaping business. But then in the other episode where Grimm's dad visits his son, it mentions that when Grimm found the site, and that's when he started reaping, and he actually found some happiness, which as opposed to his father's love for country rock. So yeah, it's about as confusing as the Transformers Constructicons origins. In their first appearance, Megatron mentions that they were built in these caverns, but in a later episode, it mentions they were friends with Omega Supreme until Megatron reprogrammed them into becoming evil, despite the fact that they were still wearing Decepticon symbols. And in a later episode, it mentions that the Constructicons were what brought Megatron to life. Again, very confusing. What's Quickie best friends? Okay, that's a what? Best fiends. I must remember that. It's kind of like you mean Quincy. It's not spelled Quinky. It's spelled Quincy, like Quin. Like Quincy. Okay, not like Quincy. I mean, it's pronounced like Quincy Morris, one of the Dracula characters, except it's spelled differently. I'll do the one with the many eyes because that's. I don't know how big he is, but this should just about do it. What was that? Oh, the first one. Oh, okay. Oh dear, I must have trying to find that signal. Here it is. Yeah, wouldn't it make a lot more sense if it was the other one? Because, well, he's got the many eyes, just like Jeff has 4 eyes. In actuality, spiders have 8. Some spiders have 6, even. This looks like a great place to lay my eggs. Like I said, he is a grandfather. In fact, there's an episode called Jeffy's Web, which is a parody of Charlotte's Web, where Jeff he lays eggs, but he's only got a short time left because spiders only live about 36 hours before they stop. So they have to say their goodbyes to Billy. But then, and he gives all the eggs to several members of the to other members. And then Grim just wants to bring Jeff back to life, adding him extra hours. I love you, Dad. Ah! Sorry, I can't do the Richard Horvitz scream. It requires a loud speaker and stuff like that, and I don't want to disturb people. So yeah, here it is. This is Quincy with Jeff the Spider. Where is it? Where is that? Here it is. Okay, so who's next? Is it Gladys? Is it Nurgle? Is it Dracula? Which one? Let me. I think I'll do the. I'll do this one. Oh, make this smaller. Okay. Yike! There you go. We got Quincy with Jeff. All right. Let's let me just look up the character. Now, for those who don't know, Gladys is, of course, Billy's mom, and she's basically how Billy's hair is why Billy's hair is red. So what was it? Sorry, I'm just looking at what was it again? I kind of lost that comment. Oh, there it is. So Billy now, of course, in her first episode, when she met the Grim Reaper for the first time, she freaks out, and then she goes over to her Aunt Sis's house, and to her sister, who is Aunt Sis. And when she finally meets Grim again, and she doesn't take it quite kindly. But in her later episodes, she seems to warm up to Grim later on, and especially in Reap Walking. Actually, no, she still has a grudge on Grim. She still likes to beat him up, even though she had other plans with in Reap Walking. Yeah, there was an She can always, even without the Grim Reaper, she can always freak out over anything. Like if none of the family members is at the dinner table, she'll bust out the chainsaw. If Harold gets fired if Harold gets fired like he does like nearly every week, he'll just she'll like get a pitchfork or something, and she gets she's like, me not speaking your language, and you lost that job at Burger again. Again, sometimes, and there's even one episode where she freaks out over having crow's feet. You could say she is a very unstable woman. Yeah, I think you're better off being with Billy's dad than to be on Billy's mom. Or if she can be sweet, but don't get on her bad side. Okay, next up is Nurgle. About an hour in, next up is Nurgle or somebody else. Okay, still, Winky's still small. I'm sorry. I don't know how. I mean, don't you think it's small? Don't you think it's small enough? I mean, I can barely see the little bug. I mean, how the heck am I supposed to see that guy? He's so. I mean, don't you think he's small enough? I mean, you want to make sure the art is easy for people to see. If it's so small, I mean, some people have poor vision, because sometimes I don't know. I mean, I don't know the grand solution to all this. I might as well make Jeff the spider bigger instead. So who's next? Let's see. Yeah, good enough. So, anybody else? Anyone else want me to do Nurgle or Dracula or Jack or Nurgle Jr., the Boogeyman? It's a very strange one, but okay, this one is okay, let me try that one. Who's he from again? Oh, I don't know if I can do that one. Sorry. I don't know if I can do that one. I think I'll just just act in a magnifying glass and you're done. Maybe I should consider that someday. All right, let's see. I'll just have... now here we come to to a recurring member of the underworld, Nurgle. He is he longs for a lot of friend. And in his first appearance, he longs for friendship, and he'll do anything to gain it. He even kidnaps Billy and Mandy to be his best friends, and it seems Grim was free from it, but then Grim later feels regret. Then he tries making friends again by hosting a carnival. And then then in his latest appearance, he meets with Aunt Sis, yes, and then they get married. And then in a later episode, they have their son, Nurgle Jr. And he's also seemed as a bit of a failure with the underworld. Well, because at one point he tried to beat his family in a game of crypto failure, but he lost the game like nearly 600 times, and when he lost the game, in his life is turned in absolute misery. Like the vending machine won't work for him. He was out of toilet paper and a lot of things. It was like bad luck all of a sudden. He was one of those characters who was played in the show that was played by two particular actors, David Warner and Martin Jarvis. Originally, it was David Warner being the voice. He only voiced him for about the first 2 or 3 episodes. Later, he would be replaced with Martin Jarvis. And funny enough, David Warner and Martin Jarvis would guest star in the Titanic. And they were Titanic actors. Yeah. By the way, in case you don't know, David Warner, rest in peace, from 4 years ago. Now, I'm trying to remember. Now, David Warner was an inspiration for a particular voice actor named Corey Burton to do an impression on and use for the character from Transformers Shockwave. And during production of Dark of the Moon, he was offered to reprise his role as Shockwave, but he turned down the role because he didn't have much of an interest in big budget movies. It was rumored that David Warner would be the one to voice Shockwave, but that role will eventually go to Frank Welker. Here. And during production of the Bumblebee movie, John Bailey, who was a longtime Transformers voice impersonator, asked Travis Might to get David Warner to provide the voice of Shockwave, but unfortunately, David Warner was quite ill at the time, so John Bailey had to step in as the voice of Shockwave. In my honest opinion, you should have went with Martin Jarvis. I mean, if he could replace David Warner as the voice of Nurgle, then he could have made him also the voice of Shockwave. And never mind. So, what was that Pokemon again? I'm trying to remember what it was. Oh yeah, I remember now. And the funny thing is, before Martin Jarvis did Hollywood, did a lot of American related stuff, not just Billy and Mandy, but also in The Legend of Spyro as the Chronicler and Satine in Wreck-It Ralph. In my childhood, he also voiced in a few British animated projects, like he was in Huxley Pig as Huxley Pig and nearly every other character, and he was also in Four Ways Farm as also nearly every character, including the cow, and he does a lot of different voices for each and every one of them. It's just one guy doing all the Huxley Pig voices and all the Four Ways Farm voices. He was also in a documentary on the scorpion rat. Oh no, the grasshopper mouse. So I remember my mother showed me a documentary of the grasshopper mouse and how it was immune to scorpion venom. And he even mentions the Roadrunner. The Roadrunner is an agile predator. Despite its comical representation, it is a swift killer. It is a masterful killer, or something like that. So yeah, Martin Jarvis does do a lot of great voice work, both for the British and for the American products. But I'll always remember him best as the second to voice Nurgle. He's about as old as David Warner, so but I don't know what his other projects are, but I haven't heard. I'm just thinking about other things right now. So yeah, fellas, we got Nurgle. Let me just bring him in a bit closer. There. Oop. Something went wrong. Again. There. So, Nurgle is done. Does anyone else want me to do Dracula, Jack-o'-lantern, Nurgle Jr.? Who else? Okay, let's see. Okay, let's do that part. Now we come to Dracula, who in Billy and Mandy, he's portrayed as one of Grimm's idols. He's a bit of a grump, and he often refers himself in third person mode, when it comes to a woman, he's like, Dracula wouldn't touch her with Wolfman's teeth. Ain't nobody gonna tell Dracula what to do. Dracula was born knowing what to do. Now, here's a funny thing about Dracula. Here, he's a little bit more accurate to Bram Stoker's Dracula, the novel version, more than some of the ones we are familiar with, including Adam Sandler, Gary Oldman, and especially Bela Lugosi. Hey, for one, he's got the old man with the mustache look. It's something that was described in the book, but is often omitted in a ton of Dracula adaptations. In fact, the only one that actually does, and one of the few that actually does have the old man with the mustache look, is the Jesus Franco version that stars Christopher Lee, not the Hammer version, the He's his Franco version. And he also has an immunity to sun. Dracula also, the Billy and Mandy's Dracula also doesn't die in sunlight. He does get burnt, but he still lives. It's like, some's cooking, smells good. In the actual Dracula book, he also survives in sunlight. It doesn't kill him. It just makes him weak. It just weakens his powers. It makes him nearly as powerful as a mortal man. He just has the strength of mortal man at daylight. It's not like Nosferatu, which you could say invented the dying through sunlight thing, which many Dracula adaptations have done, especially the Hotel Transylvania one. And you could argue Dracula is a bit of a heartless guy. Billy and Mandy's Dracula is also a bit of a heartless guy, just like the Bram Stoker Dracula. He doesn't care what Grimm likes or like. He's like, let me see that. Dracula hate peanut butter. And when they go out to get some dinner, Dracula said he'll pay the bill, but he secretly sneaks off. So and again, in the Dracula novel, Dracula's portrayed as a bit of a heartless monster, while in some of the movies, like the Gary Oldman one, he was portrayed as a bit of an emotional man, and you're trying to sympathize with him. And when he dies, he and Mina go to the castle to have one melodramatic giant scene. He was actually meant to be a parody of this other character named Blackula. I've learned about that when I was using Wikipedia for the first time as a kid, and they mentioned that Dracula is like meant to be a parody of that. Oh, another thing that makes Dracula a bit more like the book compared to some of the others is that he doesn't have that big collar thing. The something like that, which most of the other Draculas have, like Adam Sandler and Bela Lugosi. In fact, this was even poked fun of in Underfist, where Billy Dracula's like, Dracula don't have that stupid color like that up since 1952 or 1972 or something like that. Something like that. Oh yeah, I remember Craig Gara. He's one of the one-off characters from the episode that parodies Godzilla and Ultraman. I'll get to that in just a minute. Let me just do Dracula doing the scrape and lick. But you're a vampire. Vampires suck blood. See, that's a myth. Dracula scrape with his fangs and lick up the blood. Like this. See? Scrape and lick. Scrape and lick. I'll save that for later. Did you have Dean Toplat enlisted? No, but he can be in one of the extra section. Let me just bring him down a little bit. Don't want him to look like he's floating. And also to note is that when he meets up with Van Helsing, he also revealed that he is Erwin's grandpa, which means Erwin is part vampire. How come Erwin's dad is unaffected? And another funny thing is that Erwin's family, with the exception of Erwin, much of Erwin's family is voiced by Phil Lamar. Dracula, Grandmama, and Phil and the dad. And it's only him and his brother who are not voiced by Phil Lamar. Yes, Erwin does have a brother, and he does not. And he unfortunately, Erwin is not too fond of him. I mean, Eddy pretends to be fond of his brother, but Erwin knows better than to fawn over his own brother. There's nothing much about him. I think he was a bit of a jerk at one point. Okay, so what's next? It's oh, that's a new one. Oh, sorry, I just shaked my mic a little bit. Sorry, I'm just messing with the search engines for a minute. So now we come to Billy's cousin, who's also Nurgle's son, Nurgle Jr. When he first hatched, what you're seeing, what the form we're familiar with was actually not his regular form. It was actually from another kid that he possessed. He's a shapeshifter, which means he can shapeshift into anybody. But one dead giveaway is his eyes and his glasses. He basically he can, in fact, in his first appearance, he shapeshifts into literally anybody. Mandy, Billy, I think he did Spurg, etc. And when he started off, later he started off going to the same school as Billy, but he wasn't too fond of the idea. That is until Billy gave him an idea to impersonate his teacher so he can ace the test. Nurgle agrees to shapeshifting into the teacher, but it's for other reasons. It's for revenge against Spurg. There's one episode where he transforms into a pair of running pants, which he said he has never done before, but turns out the story was all fake. It was told by some random guy who just makes up a story. It wasn't for reals. There was one episode where both Nurgle and Grimm they compete each other to make pizza. That always makes me hungry. I think that's where I got the idea for the fairy pizza thing for one of my animation shorts. So Nurgle Jr. is done. Let's see, who do we have left? We have Jack-o'-lantern, the Boogeyman, Lord Pain, and the evil Con Carne characters. So who do you want me to do for? I already did Jeff the Spider. So next. Okay, you got your request. You got your Nurgle Jr. request. So can you please not spam anymore, please? All right, so. Ooh, that's a unique one. And it's, what was it again? Okay. Now, I'll admit, it was kind of an odd choice seeing Jack-o'-lantern in the, because he's only the one-off characters. Sorry, I'm just saying, in the Brilliant Adventures of Billy and Mandy game, they usually choose characters who appear in at least 2 episodes. Billy, Mandy, Grimm, and Erwin appear in every episode. Erwin and Harold appear in most episodes. Eris appears in some episodes. Nurgle appears in some episodes. Fredford Burger has a few episodes to appear. Haas appears in some. Dracula appears in a few. Nurgle Jr. appears in a few. The Boogeyman appears in 1 episode and 2 movies. General Scar appeared in another show, but he came recurring in Billy and Mandy. And Lord Pain appears in two episodes and a movie. But Jack-o'-lantern only appeared in 1 episode, the one where he steals Grimm's sight and makes the pumpkins come to life. I guess they just wanted an excuse to make that pumpkin level, with the giant pumpkins running about. You can also play as one of the pumpkins in the Billy and Mandy game. Now, it's been a while since I've seen Billy and Mandy's Jacked Up Halloween, but if I remember correctly, he used to be a prankster, but then at one point the people couldn't take him anymore, so they had somebody execute him, and then the Grim Reaper finally shows up to take his life, but then he cut off his head, but apparently Jack managed to survive, and he replaced his head with a pumpkin, and he goes around pranking people, and also bringing pumpkins to life and getting revenge on Grimm. He even stole the site. I don't know if he was the first to steal the site, but it was one of the moments in history where he. But it was one of the reasons. But it was It did start a chain of other. Started a chain of other site thefts, not just by Jack, but also Billy, Mandy, Irwin, Billy's mom, Billy's dad, Billy's cousin, surprisingly not Nurgle Jr., Billy's cat, Dracula, General Scar, Principal Whipfives, Mrs. Claus, the Secret Sapphire, the Scouts, the dancers, the President, some other dancers or something, the Boogeyman, a llama, and a turkey salad sandwich. Hold the mayo. Yeah, that's actually what happened. Grimm's site has been stolen so many times, and there's no telling who will steal Grimm's site next. I hope you don't mind, but I'm drawing this other character in the style of something else. To make sure because I'm drawing him in this particular style. It was also believe it or not, it was also my introduction to this particular Marvel character. Here. And he was played by Freddy Krueger. Oh, somebody just somebody just alerted me on Discord. Let me just finish this little bit first, and then I'll take a look at what it is. I also gotta hold the mayo. I prefer sriracha sauce. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Almost done. Let me just rub off a few additional details here. Here's another character that had also two different actors. Trying to remember. He also did. He was at one point voiced by Wayne Knight in his first appearance, but in the game he was voiced by Maurice LaMarche. He was the only character in the game to be completely recasted. Everybody else was voiced by their respective actors. Here's from the show, including Richard Horvitz as Billy and Harold, Ray Delisle as Mandy, Greg Eagles as Grimm, the late Fred Willard as the Boogeyman, and the late Henry Gibson as Lord Payne. I just realized something. Jeffrey's Web is a parody of Charlotte's Web, and there was one Charlotte's Web production of which Lord Payne's voice actor Henry Gibson played a part as the pig. I also remember him as Elleru from the Wuzzles, and he was actually one of the first deaths I actually he was one of the first I remember checking out. I remember when I was during the days of in 2009 when I was looking up Wikipedia, they once had an article called Recent Deaths. Yes, and Michael Jackson was one of them. And then when I was looking for who else, there was Billy Mays that at the time had passed, and there was also Henry Gibson. So around that week, Henry Gibson had just passed away, and I was kind of in shock to hear about that, especially when as a teen. Okay, speaking of Lord Payne, has anybody asked me to do either Lord Payne or the Boogeyman? Which one? Wait, let me just check my Discord for a minute. Okay, I got a few things. All right. So the book. Okay. I don't think I can draw Unicron because he's like so big. He's so big, and he also has an immense amount of detail. So I'm gonna have sorry about that. I'm gonna have to skip on Unicron. So what else can I do for the Boogeyman? Okay, I'll just do this instead. So for those who don't know, Lord Payne is this who believes that he is Grimm's servant. He has traveled all the way to find the Grim Reaper and be at his service. Yes. He claims that he is from the plane of eternal suffering, so he can serve the Grim Reaper. However, it turns out however, there were a few things that was revealed. He is not really Lord Payne. He's Chuckles. And he's not really from the plane of eternal suffering either. He is from the plane of happy ponies. And later he decided to work for Mandy after she explained everything. Okay, instead of a skull, I notice that he often has a skull face on his thing, but in a later episode he has Mandy's face instead. And it's also revealed that he went to the same school as Grimm, along with some of the others like Eris, Nurgle, and the Boogeyman. And I think it was named Prince Pain. There was sorry about that. I've been talking for quite a while now. So yeah, what we have here is. Let me do a better job on the cape. Here he is, fellas. Dr. Neocortex says, Lord Pain. That's crossed off. Does anybody still want me to do the boogeyman? Stop spamming. I think I'll do the. Wait, sorry. Oops, I'm just trying to remember what was the name of that character again. He. Oh yes, the Japanese name for that particular character. Let me put the little let me put the little guy someplace else. I'm thinking about doing a bit of a combo. So this is the Boogeyman, who is one of Grimm's arch rivals, ever since school. Oh. He in his first appearance, he basically often tormented Grimm, and when they were doing a little Shakespearean reenactment, he hooked Grimm onto. He hooked Grimm someplace, and then he's like, and during the performance, to be or not to be, that is the question. I think you mean wedgie or no wedgie, and then he he pulls up the rope and Wedgie! Hey look, Grim is having an embarrassing moment over here. Let's all point and laugh at his humiliation. And everybody starts laughing. and then unfortunately for the boogeyman, nobody's really scared of him. So they asked him. So then Boogie still wants revenge on Grim, and then they have a bit of a scare off where they try to scare one kid, and the boogeyman becomes a werewolf while Grim has a rubber duck. But then the rubber duck slowly but surely becomes an actual monster, and which means the boogeyman had lost. The werewolf was too cuddly. And then the Grim Reaper makes a return. The boogeyman makes a return as a pirate captain in Billy and Mandy's Big Boogie Adventure, where Grim has been charged for misusing his powers. So his sentence is to be with the boogeyman and be sailed off to some place where he can never harm anybody again, with or without his powers. And the Grim Reaping business goes to number 3. Alright, let's go down to our final character who was playable in the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy game, not counting the Horde characters like the Chicken, Nurgling, Clown, Viking, and there was another one. Chicken, Nurgling, Clown, Viking, and Pumpkin. But now we come to General Reginald Peter Scar, or Scar for short. He first appeared in the sister show Evil Con Carne, where he was basically Hector Con Carne's general. After the show was cancelled, they decided to have General Scar retire from world domination and have him move to civilization, basically be in Billy's neighborhood in Ensworld. Things seem to be going fine at first. Aside from world domination, he also loves gardening, and he also loves things that are neat. Unfortunately, he has to put up with Billy. But when he saw the scythe, he thought about maybe if he had the scythe, he could use it for world domination. And he does have and he still has a lot of weapons and robots and stuff. So what? Who do you want me to have as Scar? Who do you want me to as Scar? All right. If you want me to, if that's what you want. Something like that. Another thing to note about Scar is that he only has one eye. The other eye is white. Yeah, the other eye socket is completely white and has a scar in his eye, hence his name. Because of his hatred towards Billy, at one point, Billy accidentally, he tried to get rid of a weed, and he asked the Grim Reaper to come over to try and get rid of it. Apparently the weed was like super tough. Billy came over to try to get rid of it, but unfortunately he ended up destroying General Scar's lawn. And then something strange happened. He somehow later ended up as this weird plant creature, and which gives him the ability to manipulate plants. And he thought he would use it to try and get rid of that boy and also try to win the best garden competition. Oh, I got another one. I'm trying to remember what was the outfit I... Sometime and during the days of Evil Con Carne, he has to put up with Hector's stupidity or lack of something to take over the world, when he himself would like to overthrow Hector. As I've seen, I'm rewatching the Evil Con Carne episodes because I don't know, I just felt like wanting to revisit them. They're all available on YouTube, surprisingly, while the Billy and Mandy ones, only few of them are available and you have to go on streaming, either on Tubi or something, to watch the rest of the Billy and Mandy episodes. Evil Con Carne, I think you are able to see completely for free. And later, General Scar would later turn from a bad guy to a flat-out good guy in Underfist, where he plays double agent. Yeah, there was supposed to be some more episodes of Underfist, like one with the dinosaurs and one with the vampires, and maybe a few others as well. But alas, it was never meant to see the light. In fact, when Underfist had the credits rolling, there was a line where Billy said, "All that work and nothing to show for it." Not only Tubi has Cartoon Network show, but also Kids WB shows as well. Unfortunately for me, I can't use Tubi because it's not available in my country. I have to put up with just HBO Max and Netflix, and I don't even have the Paramount Plus doesn't even exist where I live. We don't even have Hulu, just Netflix, Disney Plus, HBO Max, and a few other things. That's about it. That's so that's now we come to the main character of Evil Con Carne himself, Hector Con Carne, and his body Boskov. Oh man, that's terrible. I don't have Paramount Plus anymore. I had to cancel it to save money. I don't blame ya. And with what might happen between Paramount and Warner Brothers, it's a bit scary right now. There is a pause, and they say they may resume next year, but the people they still want to push it forward. They still want to merge, even though millions of people around the world say, no, we don't want this merge. It'll cost a lot of job losses. It's scary. I just added something to the Skylanders University channel. Wait. When did I make us? Oh wait. Maybe I did do something like that. I'll take a look. Are you gonna see Coyote versus Acme? I don't know at this time. Maybe I will, maybe I won't, because again, I'm attending a wedding around that time. We may not have enough time to check it out. So let's see. Let's see. I think I might as well do. I might as well do this. I don't. Here's a funny thing. When I was a kid, when I first saw her, the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy and Evil Con Carne and the Grim and Evil, at first I was more attached to Grim and Evil. At first I was more attached to. Evil Con Carne, because I don't know. I just like the idea of the gadgets and the talking brain thing. I think that was what kind of intrigued me more than, say, Billy and Mandy at the time. But when Billy and Mandy came in, I shrugged and just went on full Billy and. But when Billy and Mandy was the one that managed to survive, and Evil Con Carne, he did not. I was like, oh, okay, never mind. Billy and Mandy it is. You know, the funny thing is, even though Evil Con Carne, he stopped airing, he stopped making new episodes. Besides Scar, who appears in other episodes, the other characters do appear occasionally in the other show. Like there's one episode where Mandy buys the entire island, and there was a moment where Hector ends up in prison because of the invisible duck, and there was I'm trying to think. Dr. Ghastly was in the Keep of the Reaper episode describing her feelings towards Mandy, and she also appeared when Billy tosses her up the tree to try and get his kite down. And trying to also think. And then the Billy and Man, and then they would later introduce Hector Con Carne to. They will later bring back Hector Con Carne and Dr. Ghastly in the final season of Billy and Mandy, where he goes up against where they try to take over Ennsville. Let me just move up Hector and Bosca for a moment. I would have done a lot better, but again, I'm on a bit of a time crunch. I mean, I have technically drawn this guy before, but I had a lot of free time to draw the character in any way I desire. Here, because I'm on live, I have to make this in a bit of a rush, so to speak. This is why I had to reduce as much detail as I can. Maybe I would have done the Mask of Light version, but never mind. So here it is. We have Buskov and Hector versus Makuta Tyrannosaurus. I probably could have done a better job with the design, but they'll have to do. Hey, did you think Hector's actual face looks similar to his son's? Because all we know is that he's originally huge, muscular, and a billionaire. Yeah, I have seen that episode, and I have seen the future son one too. Honestly, I don't know. Okay, okay, fellas. I'm feeling a little bit tired, so I'm just gonna savor the. I'll savor the 5 billion Mandy characters for another day. So just ask me to do Major Dr. Dasley, and we'll wrap up. So what's it gonna be, fellows? What shall I do with Major Dr. Ghastly? Yes, the Major Dr. Ghastly herself. Now let me just prepare myself a little bit and begin to draw her now. There's one particular moment with Dr. Ghastly where she ends up being a belly dancer. And the way they show, like I said, the way she show her detail is a bit, again, how the heck did they get away with that in the kids network? Okay. I'm just trying to remember. And one more thing, fellas. I forgot to mention this earlier, but since we are talking Major Dr. Ghastly as well as Mandy from earlier, I forgot to mention today is also Grey Delisle's birthday. Grey Delisle, the voice of Mandy and Dr. Ghastly. Yeah, in fact, yeah, who would have known? Her voice actor, her birthday is also on the anniversary of Billy and Mandy. I never noticed that all these years. Well, let me just give her a little. That's good trivia, thanks. I mean, I know there are some I wanted to do, some few extras I wanted to do, like some of the Nigel Planter, Dean Toblat shows. I mean, the episodes that focus on Dean Toblat's School of Sorcery. I wanted to do those. I mean, it has Dean Toblat, Nigel Planter, and the Squid Hat. Did I forget to mention that the Squid Hat from Billy and Mandy was one of the key factors to what made me a huge fan of Weird Al Yankovic, alongside the 1986 Transformers movie. Forgot I was dressing her up as Shantae. Just add in a little Now, speaking of which, speaking of getting away with things, there was a moment where Billy was delaying on trying to do the chaos thing with Eris. Yes, and there was a moment where Billy was riding on Eris like he's a cowboy and she's a horse, but then there was a close up shot where Eris looks like she was being how the heck do I say this in front, like she dropped the soap or something. And there was I saw something jiggle. I actually did see something jiggle. Well, when that happened. And that's how it showcases how sneaky the Billy and Mandy writers were. I would like to try and draw are the oh, I forgot she doesn't wear bare feet. She wears those shoes. Trying to think of another character is like who's a recurring character in Evil Con Carne is the COD Commando, who like Jeff the Spider is voiced by the creator of the show, Maxwell Adams. But all he says is blah 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 or yep or whatever he doesn't speak English. Yes. So yeah, and I think I need to reduce the ellipse a little bit. Let me reduce the ellipse a little bit. Yeah, that's better. That's more like it. So yeah, here we are. We got Dr. Ghastly as Shantae. Okay, I think that's just about it, fellas. We have, see if I can remember which one is which. We have Billy as Moxie, Mandy making sure Eris doesn't escape, Grim meeting death, Erwin being slammed on by Gliger, Harold as Harold, Billy's mom, Hex as Billy's mom, Eris with the hamster thing, Nurgle scaring Yabba and Crane, Frederick Burger with Boo Boo Bear, Spitfire as Hoss Delgado, Dracula and Licky Tongue doing the scrape and lick, Jack with Dormammu, Nurgle Jr. as Robotnik Jr., Boogeyman scared of Cyndaquil, General Scar with Team Rocket, on the Team Rocket shirt, Dr. Neil Cortex as Lord Payne, Hector again and Boskov against Makuta, Jeff the Spider with Quincy or Quincy, Dr. Major Ghastly as Shantae. Yeah, I think that's about everybody. Are you gonna save the bonus characters for a later time? Yes, I am. I'll save the bonus characters for a later time. Just allowing about 5. Maybe I'll expand it to 10, but who knows. Okay, so in the next live stream, I'm guessing that the next live stream, so we keep roughly the same age, avoid doing to worries of cultural appropriation. Probably. But I'm thinking for my next live stream, let's just say, so it won't be until later in September because I'm away to go to a wedding, and which is why I'm trying to do as many commission, which is why if the off-screen commissions are not made immediately, that means they're being delayed for another day. Pardon me. And we'll get to them eventually, but I'm thinking for my next live stream, I feel like dancing. Do you remember that specific date in September where love was changing about the remember? Let me rephrase that. What was that? September. Here it is. Do you remember that specific date where love was changing the minds of pretenders while chasing the clouds away? Well, I feel like doing something like that. So join me at not at the very end of September, but somewhere around that edge, as we start picking up our feet and cutting it foot loose or doing the stomp or whatever like that. There may not be many music, or it's going to about to be the copyright-free ones, but we'll see how it goes. So yeah, thank you for joining me on this live stream. Thank you all for the lovely requests. Thank you for the commissions. I'll see you all in the next live stream. I hope you've enjoyed this video.